Good morning. I'm Gloria J with Action Speaks, and today I want to start reading a new study. The studies, research, and history is all in the name of addressing or authenticating the production of my new book, Every Child Born Gifted by Gloria J. So we will continue, and this particular study is They Won't Teach Me, the Voices of Gifted African American Inner City Students. When who I am impacts how I am represented, addressing minority student issues in different contexts, specifically on giftedness. Deborah Harmon is the author. Geographical code is 1 USA. The date of publication, January 1st, 2002. Words, 7,903. Publication, Roper Review. ISSN number is 02783193. Excuse me. There's something on my tongue. All right. We will start. No challenge has been more daunting than that of improving the academic achievement of African American students, burdened with a history that includes the denial of education, separate and unequal education, and relegation to unsafe, substandard inner city schools. The quest of quality education remains an elusive dream for the African American community. And that's Ladson Billings, 1994, page 9. 46 years after the Supreme Court overturned legislation which supported separate but equal education and the eventual desegregation of public schools, the quest for equity and education still remains, and the success of the desegregation and integration of schools is still in question. Harris and Russell, 1994. Research conducted throughout the course of desegregation efforts to determine the effects of school desegregation on minority and white students has unfortunately failed to produce the expected increases in minority student achievement. Crane and Mahad, 1982. Crane and Wells, 1997. Lansky, 1979. Sheehan, 1979. St. John, 1978. With the onset of desegregation efforts and the change in environment for talented African American youth, it is appropriate to raise the question: how have the efforts of to desegregate and integrate schools affected gifted African American students? As suggested by the supporters of Brown versus Board of Education, 1954, segregated African American schools were unable to provide a quality education due to lower quality facilities and fewer curricular choices. Harris and Russell, 1994. It is fair to assume that the deleterious effects of these conditions were felt deeply by gifted African American students. With the implication of desegregation efforts, such as busing, voluntary desegregation, and magnet schools, gifted African American students were expected to reap the greatest benefit for 1996. However, the identification and retention of African American students in gifted education programs in predominantly white schools declined during the implementation of desegregation programs. According to Chin and Hughes, 1987 and 1978, African American students represented 15.7% of the nation's public school student population and 10.3% of the students participating in gifted education programs. In 1992, while African American students represented 21.1% of the nation's public school student population, African American students represented 12% of the students in gifted education. Ford and Harris, 1999. This article describes and discusses a study that was designed to develop a greater understanding of experiences of gifted African American elementary students who were bused to desegregate a predominantly white middle-class school and then returned to the predominantly African American neighborhood school after the dismantling of desegregation. While the intent of this research was to examine the experiences resulting from desegregation and resegregation of gifted African American students, the students and teachers in this study shared important information regarding the practices of teachers and their implications for gifted African American students. Literature review: School Desegregation and Gifted African American Students. The social scientists who testified in Brown versus Board of Education 1954 believed that segregation had a negative impact on the achievement of African American students due to inferior school facilities and low per pupil expenditures, lowered self-esteem due to the status given to African Americans in white society, and reduced motivation to learn among African American students. Stefan and Rosenfield, 1980. Most research on desegregation has focused on the achievement of African American students and the impact of racial integration on African American self-esteem and self-concept. For example, Cass, 1969, and St. John, 1978, found that desegregation seemed to be more beneficial to those students who possessed high ego strength, self-confidence, and high ability or achievement levels, and that a biracial classroom is socially facilitating to high achievers. Based on these findings, gifted African American students in elementary schools should experience more success and benefit from desegregated school programs than non-gifted elementary school students. After reviewing the results of 80 studies on the effects of desegregation since 1954, Stefan and Rosenfeld found no empirical data to support any effect on prejudice, self-esteem, or student achievement. What has been established is that African American students' achievement and self-esteem did not increase as a result of desegregation, or if it did increase, it was clearly not at the level of white children. St. John. A review of literature and school desegregation and gifted students reveal that there has not been any research into the effects of desegregation on gifted students. Additionally, a search for literature on school desegregation and gifted African American students produced no results. This void in the literature indicates there has been no research looking at the effects of desegregation on gifted African American students. That's all we will read for you today. The next reading will be cultural competency and desegregated schools. May God bless you today, and have a great day. It's Gloria. Action Speaks. Reading, research, studies, and history that will authenticate Gloria's, my new book, Every Child Born Gifted by Gloria J. Have a good day.